Now, unlocking Africa's growth was in focus at the Standard Bank conference that took place in Cape Town last week. Our head of news, Bronwyn Seaborn, caught up with Marvin Nii Adom Armah, Senior Business Development and Account Manager for Farmerline, to speak about the use of tech in the agri space in Africa. Here's that conversation.
So Farmerline is one of the fastest agricultural technology companies in the world at the moment, and our sole mission is to create lasting profits for farmers everywhere. We do this by ensuring that farmers have a voice, and we do this also by ensuring that farmers are able to be heard. And what do we mean by that? We notice a gap when it comes to information access, especially in the agricultural space. And the major thing here is that we notice that when it comes to smallholder farmers, information may not be readily available and also not understood in their local languages. So we leverage on technology to ensure that farmers have access to reliable information, and at the same time we're also able to finance them when they go into aspects such as the input asset financing, and then also to ensure that all year round they're able to farm and be able to make meaningful impacts on their activities. Yeah.
So is this an app that essentially farmers can access,
right,
that has all this information on it?
Right, exactly, yes. So one of the major things we do is that we try to make technology accessible to farmers, right? Now, we know that different smallholder farmers exist in different demographics. You may have farmers that do not have access to 3G cellular devices, sophisticated internet accesses that can actually allow them to connect. So we actually approach this in two ways. We do have a proprietary software known as Image Data, which is a flagship mobile and web architecture, but this is mainly used by food companies, by government institutions, by social enterprises. The reason being that we rather leverage on information and connectivity to farmers. So in so doing, what we do is that we pre-record messages and local content, and then we disseminate this through to the farmers in their local communities. In so doing, farmers do not need internet to actually have access to information. All they need to do is that once they have a 2G cellular device, or a feature phone as most people call it, they can receive just a simple call, and then from there they can hear the recording on any aspects of their activities, be it regenerative agriculture, be it on how to do proper seed selection, or even how to apply fertilizers the right way.
Do you see this as an African solution for an African context?
Yes, it's exactly what you said. It is exactly the way we've actually always put it. And the reason why we say this is because we noticed that a long time ago that it wasn't just enough to have very good technology. The technology needs to be in the context of the people that you're trying to serve or they're trying to actually solve a problem for. So in this case, when we started Farmerline, a major role that we've always had and the major mission that we've always had is that how can technology be brought to the level of farmers? This is just one question we've always asked ourselves. So if you look at some of the new technologies that we're bringing up, which is the DALI AI, which is an interactive AI system where farmers can now call a toll-free number and then speak to a conversational AI in their local languages. We are doing this in multiple countries. We've started, we've digitized about 17 local languages. That includes even the general really big languages like English, Portuguese, French. And then we go into the local communities where we've started to digitize languages such as Swahili. We've done all local languages in Nigeria. And then also recently, we recently launched the first Creole AI agronomist in Sierra Leone. And Creole happens to be a language that is spoken by about 7 million people. So in effect, what we are doing is that we're bringing sophisticated technology right at the doorstep of farmers. And it doesn't just end there. There's one aspect of our mission, which is always to ensure that no farmer is left behind. And what do we mean by that? If you look at our agricultural terrain, most farmers are found in very remote locations. So then how then do you get information to farmers who have no connectivity whatsoever? We then leverage on other modules like that of the Grow Ambassador, where we're able to train farmers within their communities, CBA module and their VBA models as well, which is the community-based advisors model, where farmers can be turned into advisors, so to speak. So in that case, you always have at least a farmer that has information readily accessible and ready to be deployed, within the communities.
The practical outcomes of something like this,
yeah.
Is it in crop yields? Are we seeing better crop yields come through?
Yeah.
Are we seeing better access to finance? Practically making use of all this technology that
yeah.
you put forward, how is it translated?
It simply translates into the farmers making profits. and being sustainable in their practices. And if you can't remember at the beginning, I mentioned that the first thing that we've always wanted to achieve is to ensure that farmers make more. That is actually our motto, by the way, right? To make more, right? And if you want to put farmers in a place where they can make more, then it's not just about the technology. After the technology ends, how then do they get access to markets, which is also another service that we actually deploy. So we make sure that once farmers have the information, once they understand what seeds to use, at what time to water, at what time to apply fertilizers, in the end, they still need to sell their crops. So access to markets also becomes like a last linkage where we're able to then sell and help farmers to then penetrate into international markets and be able to then have value for what they're actually driving. So it's everything. It's from the yield aspects, it's from making money, it's from ensuring that they are more sustainable, and then beyond that, it's just they being entrepreneurs in their own space. Yeah.
The demand picture for Farmerline, what does that look like? I mean, if you're saying to people,
yeah,
join us, we're going to help you make money, I'm sure the demand is pretty high.
I should say that yes, this is and that is what keeps us moving. I should say it is the zeal, it is the enthusiasm, it's the interest, and it's we penetrating through markets that actually constantly ensures that we always never leave any farmer behind. Now, I should mention that there are always different interventions. There are projects that we run. For instance, I could mention one being a Sustain in Africa. Sustain in Africa happens to be a project that I was put in charge of when I actually joined Farmerline. It's been very dear to me. It's a project in sustainable intensification for farmers, and the whole idea is that there's a consortium of universities that are researching into low-cost monitoring systems, that are researching into technologies that can be used to monitor farms in terms of insects, in terms of disease, pest control. And in so doing, what we're doing is that Merge Data, which is the flagship software that we have, is being used as a repository, for all that data sets. Because in the end, all we're seeing is that there is a lot of opportunity, right, to be tapped when it comes to the agricultural space. Farmers always need to be put ahead of the conversation, because this is the only way we can actually then fully be sure that we're actually working towards a time where we are sustainable as a continent. We had a panel discussion about whether or not Africa can feed itself, and you could see that when we all start, it's all about, yeah, we actually do have the potential, but something must have gone wrong all this while for us to still be here. And that is why we believe that the time is now. This is now that we need to ensure that technology takes the forefront, farmers are put in the right position, and then they just keep making money as they move on. Yeah.
Like you say, food security, yeah, and making sure that Africa can feed itself, yeah, really high on the agenda at the moment.
Yeah.
Given the demand that you outlined, lots of demand, you're currently in Ghana, I know you've spread to countries like Ivory Coast. Where to next then for Farmerline?
Right, well, we'll say the world, the entire world actually. I will say the entire world, because if you look at what we're trying to achieve, we understand that there are certain farmers that have still not been, we've not been able to reach all this while. And we know this because for every intervention that we have, we notice that there are more people that keep availing themselves to the opportunities, the countless opportunities that happen to be within agricultural space. If you look at an aspect like the asset and input financing, as mentioned, there are so many farmers that are looking for simple irrigation systems but do not even know how to even start off with. And in so doing, the more we keep moving, the more we keep taking up projects, the more we're partnering with the governments, with social enterprises, with universities, what we realize is that there is a different group of people that is always available to take up the mantle in order to then move on. We have our software license in 48 countries, but I must say that we are looking to have it licensed in all countries around the world. And yes, I believe that that's the dream, to ensure that that technology is accessible to farmers, and to ensure that at least we are making lives, we're changing lives in the process of doing that.
That was Marvin Nii Adom Armah, Senior Business Development and Account Manager for Farmerline.